Hello. Okay, so it's 1:40 on the clock. The number 40 is standing out to me. The word progenitor, I kept hearing the word progenitor. A progenitor, a direct ancestor, founder of a lineage, or an originator of an idea or thing, refers to a forebear in a direct line of descent or a biological precursor. Also can be described as the person or thing that initiates a trend, movement, or invention. So, I'm going to sort of tap into this progenitor and just dive a little bit deeper, because okay, I just have to take a sip of my beverage. Oh, and I just noticed as I'm talking, there's a tiny little insect that I did not notice until I hit record. That's been happening almost every time I decide to hit record. A little creature comes to say hello. So when my window was open, the last few times it was warmer. Today's very windy and chilly. And I had the window open for a little while, but I got really cold, so I shut it. I don't know why I said it that way. Yeah, so no bees today, but this is just like a tiny little bug. Not just, but yeah. Okay, so I'm going to share a thought that I've been having, as well as like just a little bit of background before I kind of dive deeper into this. And then there is an article that I want to reference. And yeah, so I'll get into all of that. But so lately I have been speaking about I think I've definitely been thinking it. I think I've been speaking about it as well. This idea of like, the very popular as above, so below, as within, so without. But especially in reference to like deep water, like deep space and deep sea, like the deep sea and deep water. And those are just two examples. But just like, I've always had this fascination as long as I've learned about the deep sea, self-illuminating, like bioluminescent beings and creatures that are like still being studied and discovered. And the other day when I was recording, I believe it was the last transmission that I recorded, right before I was about to close out, the bioluminescence came through, and this beautiful, like, I don't know, I was just guided to like pause and look on Instagram, and like right away this seemingly out of nowhere, I'm not even sure exactly what type of creature it was, but it was a bioluminescent being in the sea. And then all this information about bioluminescence I could feel like pouring in, which I've talked about plenty of times. But anyway, my point of that is I just kept feeling like, yeah, like we're still discovering so much about our seas and oceans and deep water. Like there's still so much unexplored, and, different caves, like cavernous systems that, I believe it's in the Philippines. There was like a cave that was discovered, and I really want to go there. But just how there's still so much to discover within our own, I don't know, like biosphere. But then as well as that, this idea of, yeah, I've just been thinking about obviously spacefaring is not something that is common right now, and how much there's left to discover. And not only this, but multidimensionally as well, you know, like once we, like I always think about scientists and people who are, you know, researching. Scientist is such a like minimal word, but just people in these fields. And when you're researching from most, I will not say everyone, but the masses, from just this 3D human lens, you know, I feel like there's still so much to discover when we have those of us who are unlocking and integrating our multidimensionality and our crystalline consciousness. Like, our perception expands in consciousness, right? That's like literally what we're doing. And then we get to see the world so differently, including its multidimensionality. So anyway, with all of that, these are just some things that I've been thinking about. And I've talked about this plenty of times throughout my YouTube channel and Patreon, that I see this eye, EYE, like an ultraviolet eye, but I see it in many different ways. And when I say I see it, you can think of it, I suppose, as like, I don't know if like a holographic, it doesn't really feel like a projection per se, but it's like a plasma luminous shifting, moving. I will say in the beginning, when I first started to see it, it felt more like a holographic projection, but that was probably just because that's where my consciousness was to receive it. But the more that I tune in and allow myself to continue my own evolution, I suppose you can say, so too does all of the multidimensionality that I get to witness. And so that in itself, I feel like, is part of this transmission and remembrance for those of us who are continuing on this multidimensionality integration. Whew, I just saw a beautiful little luminous plasma being kind of pop in as I said that. But anyway, my point of this. So a friend of mine is getting another tattoo, and I kept getting this image in my head of, so she wants like an eye, EYE. And yeah, I just kept getting this image in my mind. And then today I felt really guided to look at Maya Nartumid. I've talked about her before, if you're not familiar, her Substack, or one of her articles. And quite literally, one of the articles, of course, the picture was this beautiful eye that I was seeing. I was seeing this eye, very similar. In fact, one of the tattoo options my friend was looking at, it was the one that was my favorite. She sent 4 or 5, and I was like, oh, there's something about this one. But then when I was looking at it, I was envisioning it a bit more luminous, it felt alive to me. It's hard to explain. And anyway, so then when I looked at Maya's articles, sure enough, I'll share the article in the link below if you want to look at it. It was very similar to the eye that my friend sent, but the way I was envisioning it. So I knew, I was I need to click on this because, that's often how I'm guided to external resources. There's always so much connection, synchronicity, etc. And I'm not even going was deeply into that, because sometimes there's nuance that doesn't always translate right away or through words instantly. But yeah, there was more. Okay. I've been talking a lot about the sylphs, for example, or elemental re-encryption, and today the wind being so strong. I just kept being reminded of this just process, like how this is an ever-going process. And sometimes I know like there's this restlessness that can come with really just with the process, especially if there's like something that we may be picking up on intuitively that isn't quite manifest physically yet. So I don't know, I'm just getting this like collective feeling of like a little bit of restlessness, maybe a little bit of apathy in some ways. I feel like there's this light. Do you hear those horns outside? It's like a light being shown on what is still working and maybe what is ready to be released. So for some of you, you may have already kind of set that intention, and now the natural process of what you've tuned into is happening. It's already happening. For some of you, you may be kind of stepping into that or on the precipice of like, kind of like, pruning or trimming, excuse me. Yeah, releasing what you're ready to release. And there's also an element of like, some of this is already happening for you. Like it doesn't feel like there's too much for you to do, except, just allowing. So yeah, hopefully you can like feel through. Maybe for some of you, it's kind of a little bit of multiple of those. Okay, so there was 2 articles actually from Maya the other day when I was reading on Patreon a lot of the essence of like divine feminine principle, or like the embodiment of not just reading about worshiping something outside of ourselves, but like actually remembering and like the essence of the breath of that, like what that feels like. And I feel like I'm not doing this justice because, but yeah, for lack of words right now, that the emanations of the divine feminine and in its most, I guess you could say like purest form, yet also its most messy and human form, like how these coexist essentially. Bear with me as I'm like fine-tuning as I let this energy process through. Anyway, so to those 2 idea thoughts, I guess you could say, that I've mentioned so far. And the article that I mentioned first from Maya was obviously more connected to like this idea of like self-luminous beings, and the mirrored reflection of like deep sea and deep space. And then this other article that she released was about the divine feminine principle, which again, I had just spoken about this. So I was like, whoa, I love when that happens, when there's just much synchronicity. Anyway, yeah, so I'm seeing like Jack of Hearts and 4 of Hearts in Cartomancy. Okay, so I just looked up a quick little combination of why I saw those together. And in Cartomancy, generally that combination can signify a stable, sincere, and growing romantic connection. It often represents a loyal young suitor or a dedicated friend bringing emotional security, stability, and positive, affectionate energy into your life. There are cats on this property. You may hear them meowing. Cats have been showing up very synchronistically. Actually, there was like another article from Maya's that something told me to look at, and then one of the cats just started meowing, and the next article was about cats. So that one was paid. I'm not a paid member of hers, at least at this point, hopefully in the future. But it was connected through Atlantis, which I was talking about Atlantis the other day as well. So there's, a lot of collective themes, coming through those of us who are tapping into this. So maybe you're someone who also feels connected to, your own inner plane's connection to some of these current energetic strands. Every time I'm going in to go a little bit more deeply, I feel like I'm kind of being redirected. So like how this, I don't read Cartomancy very often, but when I see something and I'm guided to it, I trust that. So I'm also now seeing like 2 peas and a pod, but the pod, this is very specific. The pod is like on the left side, and then the peas are, it's like this pod, and then there's 2 peas that are next to the pod. So it's like a pea, and then on the left, a pod. So it's like, they're almost like, oh my gosh, I forgot what this is called, but there was like a kinetic, like those silver balls that would almost be like just like magnetically next to each other, and you could feel the force, but unless you like pick one up and move it, they would just be kind of like, if you ever like put your hands around something like that, you can like feel the energy around it, but then they're just almost like, I don't know, I'm getting like the word stasis, like they're just like there, but emitting this energy. So that, I was not expecting to talk about the emotional realm. So like that combination in Cartomancy, depicting whether it's romance or just something deeply emotional. But that just, it came in without me even going there. So that could be coming up for some of you with the 7th house in astrology. There's something like deeply personal about this energy. Like it feels just like I almost just want to like hold something in, when you like hold something very delicate in your hands and you just like are very, very careful. That's kind of what I'm getting with this. So there could be like something very delicate or raw, a little raw and delicate. I'm almost getting like an exposed nerve, hear that wind pick up? Whoa, yeah. So, and I just, maybe some of you are having like something with your teeth, like teeth sensitivity or tooth work. Like there's something about the teeth. And if it's not that, there could just be a similar sensation, like somewhere else in your body or just in your emotional state that like mirrors that sort of tooth sensitivity. Something about laundry has been coming up a lot. I don't know, maybe someone here really needs to do their laundry, or maybe you just did your laundry, or maybe you're like changing the way you do laundry. There's something about laundry. That won't be for everyone, but also, if you have hair, you could be shedding a lot right now. Or if you have an animal, maybe they're shedding. There's something about like excess hair, or like shedding hair. I just saw 1919 on the timer. The Sun card in tarot. And my birthday's on the 19th, so there could be something about seeing birthdays, life path numbers. But double 19, double solar, double sun. Okay, so back. Okay, so I kept hearing the word stasis again. A period or state of inactivity or equilibrium. ancient Greece could be relevant for some of you. You may feel connected to ancient Greece. I did, in my Oraculous Lineage series that I've been sort of just rolling out as I feel the ping, the very first key was dedicated to ancient Greece and the Pythia. So if you're feeling connected to ancient Greece, there may be something there for you if you want to go deeper into the Oraculous lineages. But yeah, there is something about, like, I just heard the name Kelly or something with the initials. Also, the name John. I've been seeing the name John like repeatedly, and John the Baptist has been coming through as well, like the essence of John the Baptist. Ooh, and I just got chills, especially on my lower left leg. This has been happening. Someone may get like a very, whoever's like maybe tuning into this, or like maybe newly, or maybe you haven't listened in a while, but there's something about like getting chills or confirmation in like one specific spot of your body or something like that, because I keep getting like lower left leg chills. It doesn't have to be that spot exactly, but yeah, there's something about, or like there's something about the legs, or like, again, one spot. And I was talking about in the luminous solar energetics transmission that I released recently, this idea of like having like hot spots. And last night I felt that in my own body. Like there was like certain spots in my body, it was like little balls of fire. Like I'm being a bit dramatic, but yeah. And again, it's like that feminine raw fire energy, like that essence that I was speaking about. Yeah, I really want to go deeper into the articles because there's so much coming through, but for some reason I just keep being redirected. So I'm probably going to save that for Patreon. I might sit a little bit deeper in this stasis energy and the two peas in a pod with the pod, because, oh, excuse me. Yeah. Feels like, feel that release. Also, since my friend sent me her idea of tattoos that I was talking about, the song from Jack Johnson, Eyes in the Back of My Head, If I Had Eyes in the Back of My Head, that song has just been playing in my mind, as well as when I woke up today, there was a song, I haven't heard the song in a while, I Think I Love You, but What Am I So Afraid Of? That song was just playing in my head on repeat. I think I love you. Yeah, that song. So there could be something deeper in one or both of those songs. Also, I watched a movie. I watched quite a few movies the last few days, like the last day and a half, I should say. I just needed some relaxing time. And what was the name of the movie? I've never seen it before, but it's an older movie, like it's not new. Letters to Juliet. And like mindless rom-coms, I guess you could say, especially when I'm in a mood of just like, there's something actually significant about this, and I may have touched on this on it before, but I used to be like really embarrassed about like what I like to do, you know, like I've always liked like romantic comedies. I just have, like, since I was young, I just like them, but I was always so embarrassed about it. Now I don't really care as much, but I remember, and I actually talked about this as well, how you may be like finding more people who are like you in ways that you thought you would never relate to other people. You know, it could be like people you don't really know, like online, or other like YouTubers or whatever it is. But I remember, I can't remember who said this to me, but at some point in my life, someone, like, I guess thought because of the topics of conversation and my interest that I would like very deep, intense movies, you know, like, but I I mean, I will, but that's not like my go-to when I'm alone, you know? And I don't know, it's like I'm always in that space. Like I love researching. So like when I want to like just relax, I like to watch like romantic comedies, for example, or just whatever. And I remember listening, this was like a few years ago. I think it was, who was it? Her name's Lexi the Leo. She has her own YouTube channel. She's amazing. And she was saying like, you know, I love her. She's from Wales, so her accent is the best. And she was like, I'm channeling all day. Like the last thing I want to do is, that's not at all actually what she sounds like, but it's like she also was like, yeah, I watch like lighthearted things because I'm always in, you know, like it just helps me unwind. And so I don't know, it's like I remember when I heard that from her, I was like, oh, I feel the same way. So anyway, I'm sharing this weirdly personal thing because there could be like little things like that like just for so many years. Yeah, like I didn't even realize like how ashamed I was of myself for this. But now obviously I'm just like, well, that's okay. Anyway, so I was watching this movie and Letters to Juliet, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, and there was just, the word adventure has been coming through, that I feel like whatever collective I'm tuning into is like really has like a very adventurous layer of the aura, whether you're like exercising that or not, or maybe you are but not fully. There's something about really coming into like an adventurous phase. It feels like for some of you, it's not that I feel like everything you do is kind of an adventure. Even if you're just watching a movie by yourself, there's still like an adventurousness to you. But I feel like you're going to have more of that external reality of your life, like reflecting back more adventure to you soon, if that's something that you've been craving. And I'm feeling those chills again, particularly on the left shin now. And it's so interesting because the way that this like Jack of Hearts and Four of Hearts just kind of slid in, like I was really getting, yeah, so the Four of Cups in tarot is coming through as well. Again, like this sort of like apathy or just like turning away from something. So there could be like a connection, something that maybe you've just needed to like, I'm seeing someone like put something on a shelf, like, you know, it's there, but like you just can't right now, or you just haven't been able to. But it feels, do you hear the horn? But it feels like there might be, which by the way, that feels like that was very divinely guided, or whatever phrase you would like to use. Like that felt like returning the focus on yourself. I keep getting, like adventure, just like the Fool in tarot, like a bit more like carefree, or at least like, but then it's so interesting. There's such a duality here. It's like, yes, that, but then there's also this like very like, you know, 9th house in astrology, like higher learning, deep philosophy, study, discipline, overthinking or prone to overthinking, really looking deeply into things, signs, you know, like synchronicity, understanding this, understanding that. And it's like, yeah, this beautiful dichotomy, duality of like, it feels like these parts of yourself you've been sort of weaving together like a beautiful tapestry over time. And sometimes you have to focus more on one, more on the other. And then there's these moments that they just come together. And like, the more that you just kind of embody this, the more it like effortlessly flows. So yeah, I hope that this finds whoever needs to find, because I don't know why I was just sewn. Someone here could sew, because I didn't mean to say sewn, but yeah, sewing could be relevant for someone. I do not know how to sew, so I'm always impressed when people can sew, because I don't, and I honestly don't really have an interest, but I also have like an admiration for it. Sewing. I don't know, now all I can see is someone sewing. Yeah, so something about like focusing too, like maybe like when you get invested in something, you get very focused on it, because all of a sudden like all I could think about was sewing. And I just heard someone be like, okay, great, why? Why is this coming up now? Like, why? Why? Well, you know how they say, I don't know, when I think of something in stasis, it's like on hold, or again, you could feel that electromagnetic force around it. And then at some point there's movement, and all this wind today, you know, this is about you and the integration of the feminine masculine polarities within the self, you know, first and foremost. And I feel like if you're listening to this, you probably already, at least most days, feel that. 12:12 on the clock, you could be seeing that. And I just was talking about the Adamic template and like the 12:12 5-pointed star. It's like the Christos, like the lightning electric Christos. Excuse me. And I just went very more deeply into that on Patreon, and I'm weaving that through probably, excuse me, the next Patreon. Yeah, there's like multiple things coming forth, but for some of you, you could be like a little bit more either in the near future, or you have been focused on your like your Merkaba, your light body, vehicle of light, whatever word you would like to use. I just heard Ka Ra. Some of you could be like utilizing mantras or some sort of like Edenic code. The Edenic codes, this feels very deeply connected to the Edenic codes, and that has also been coming through quite a bit. You could be like hearing songs and or phrases with like the word heaven or like heavens, like stairway to heaven, heaven is a place on earth. What is that song? Yeah. Heaven is a place on earth. Yeah, there's something about like seeing the word heaven. And I can't remember who this was, but I know someone who named someone heaven backwards. Their name was like Nevaeh. I don't know I never met them. I don't know who this is, but for some reason I'm being shown that. Is that a palindrome? No, that's not. But palindromes could be significant. I'm seeing those as well. Like a word spelled backwards. I'm also seeing a lipstick. Someone could have like just bought new lipstick, or maybe you've been like, oh, I kind of want to wear lipstick right now, or just like something on your lips. Doesn't have to be like actual lipstick. It could just be something that comes in a tube that you put on your lips, or something of that nature. For very few of you, like some of you could be like creating your own cosmetics or herbal remedies, things of that nature, like apothecary. I'm seeing like, or maybe like your room feels like an apothecary. These are just like different things that are coming through for different people. Counting in other languages. You could have been like exposed to other languages recently, or maybe some of you speak multiple languages or something about other languages. I mean, I'm in the Balkans right now, so that could just be on my mind, but I am seeing that. Clear quartz could also be significant. In the dream I had with the Adamic template, which is said to be like the emanation of the original angelic crystalline blueprint, which is something I've been talking about for a very long time. There was this clear quartz, and I've talked about this dream already throughout this week. I can't remember which platforms, but there was one significant piece that I think I left out, not on purpose, just I guess it wasn't time. But in the dream, this clear quartz was struck with lightning, and this little boy that I spoke about in the dream was feeling very lost and confused, and then all of a sudden it was like him and I had conversations about things that he had felt but never knew how to talk about. And when we discovered this crystal was struck by lightning, he just knew and went over and picked it up. And that's where the Adamic, I didn't translate that right away, but that's what came through. And then it came through on Patreon through the Ascension Glossary, like literally the next day. I just felt guided to one of the links that didn't say that, but then as I was reading, so when he picked up the crystal, we were talking about like prophecy of destiny, of basically being able to like see destinies or destiny timelines. And when he picked up the crystal and saw Adamic, there was some rust. It looked like rust that was like etched into the crystal from the lightning strike. So I kept thinking about that, because then it came through a few other synchronistic ways, the idea of like rust, or thinking of our bodies as these crystalline, as we're like alchemizing the 2 carbon-based DNA into the crystalline consciousness, and working with this idea of being self-luminous. There's something, when I said that, my ears, I felt like I was hearing a specific instrument. I am seeing like certain comedians for some reason, like making mouth trumpets. I don't know, like Jack Black or Jim Carrey, like when they would make like sounds with their mouth, Robin Williams. But then there's also, it's like these different emanations of that type of sound, whether it's through like a person's mouth, an instrument piece, like the celestial spheres, like it's coming through very multi-layered. You could be hearing tones, or really drawn to like specific frequency music right now. Crystal bowls, or maybe like some of you used to be and then you haven't been, but maybe there's like you're feeling a draw back to something that could also be coming through. But there's something significant about like the markings and like working through I'm seeing like the Tin Man when he like gets rusted and they have to like put oil back in for that. So it feels like this masculine collective is kind of going through that phase right now, and all of us have that inner masculine, right? So there could be an internal aspect as well as an external aspect of someone that you feel connected to. I have like tingles on my left palm. Some of you could be also getting into like palm markings, being shown like the M, the crescent moon. I'm also now seeing like a baby carriage, not necessarily on the hand, just in general. And what does a carriage do? It holds a baby, right? So there's something about like a vessel that holds something. So that could be so symbolic for so many things. Right? Like something that it's also like these new creations or creative projects, whatever it is, like there's something that's like holding that. Like some of you could have literally just gotten like a vase or a vase for flowers, or like a new vessel for your water. Like maybe some of you just got like a new water bottle, or you want one, or like a water machine. I don't know, there's something like that coming through, as well as like, I don't know, maybe something to hold your your important documents, like maybe like a new filing system or like digital system. There's things like this that are coming through, or maybe you're feeling that. Now it's 12:21 on the timer, so now it's like flipping. It was like 12:12 was the masculine. Now the feminine's coming through from this 12:21. This like mirrored dynamic. And Kali Ma, excuse me, Kali Ma. Some of you could be working with that energy right now. yeah, I'm seeing someone like buffing and filing their nails. So that could be literal for some of you, but it also feels like there's like a shaping going on, like a reshaping. A reshaping. You could be having also like a lot of memories kind of flood in, or like telepathic conversations. Like you're like having these conversations and then all of a sudden like what you're thinking about like somehow shows up externally. Maybe not with that exact person, but like through like a YouTube video or through a book or a movie. Like it just feels like 12:22 now on the timer. Yeah, it feels like there's this like alignment, right? But the one, it's like 1, 2, 2, 2. There's like alignment, but the one is still like in a new beginning phase. Like I kept seeing aces in my mind, like the aces in tarot. Like I was literally shown all 4 aces, which sounds crazy, but it's like newness. So yeah, there's still like the stasis, right? Like there was something about 1 and then the 2, 2, 2. And I kept being shown vines recently, and then like branches and so much of underneath the surface that's been coming through a lot. So yeah, it feels like there's again that wind, like I don't remember exactly what this is from, but there's like a myth or a fable or one of those words where like a man looks in a pond and sees his own reflection, but he's like in love with a nymph or something, or he thinks he is, but then he just sees his own reflection in the water. So I feel like there's been this phase of that, like whoever you've been connecting to could only see themselves reflected back. Like they just didn't have that bandwidth or that capacity to be able to see you fully. You know, they were just like kind of looking in that mirror and only able to see their own, like their own limits of some sort. And now that goes so deep, you know, like ancestral stuff, ancestral patterning. And it feels like with that, there's something about just being in that for a moment and like acknowledging that, that maybe some of your physical needs or your emotional needs have not been met, but then there's like a spiritual component that feels so nourished from this. So it, again, there's a lot of duality coming through. And I just got very hot when I said that. My ribs lit up, the back of my heart. If you've also been like going on, again, that word adventures coming through, like new adventures or like traveling a little bit, or yeah, just getting out of your comfort zone. There's something about like continuing and or starting, depending on where you're at, to, if you feel this, of course, like just like keep trusting yourself in the moment and exploring. Now I'm hearing there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Like, you know, Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. So yeah, I feel like there's some sort of this like idea of like, you know, very, very like home is where the heart is. Home, coming home. There's something about like the home frequency, like being at home in yourself is bringing in this like 4 of Wands, this stability. And however that shows up for you, you know, that's how it's going to be. But yeah, it feels like it's like that phrase, build it and they will come. You know, this could be in reference to a business too, like just whatever your emotional fulfillment lies in. And the more you continue and or start with your own inner foundations, right? I mean, this is like, I'm sure we've all heard this a million times. I don't want to like beat a drum over and over. What is that expression? I don't know. But basically, maybe it's just coming up as a reminder. But yeah, it's really beautiful. And I hope that you can, whoever this is for, you can take these moments to like really just feel whatever you need to feel, like whatever's coming up for you, because it does feel like there's this like windfall in the air, you know, this alignment, like stars align, destiny timeline sort of energy. And I don't say this from just a place of like wishful thinking. You know, like there's been, now it's 12:26 on the clock. I also just heard Judas Priest. I think that's a band. I don't know, that could be relevant for someone. I think that's a band. I'm not positive. Well, this went in a very different direction than I thought it was going to go. Also, I have 2 different clocks in front of me and 2:26. Yeah, Pisces. Very Piscean. We're closing out in a very Piscean, like daydreamy state. So, any grounding. Yeah, that will come. Like whoever this is, whoever I feel like is connecting through this, I feel like you've really been like balancing those aspects, like the dreamy side and the more grounded side. So if you're in a little bit more of a dreamy state right now, like enjoy it, you know, there's something like that. Oh, it's interesting too, like where I'm at in my environment. I feel like I've been having like it's a very step-by-step, like maybe seeing like numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like this has been, whoever this is for as well, this collective, it's a very one step at a time, step by step. I just heard someone drop something, so someone could have just dropped something. Yeah, but it's just like it's, again, you can like probably have access to like the bigger vision, but this like step-by-step process has been like literally one step at a time and seemingly so slow. But this came through in the last transmission, like maybe just acknowledging actually how each of those steps, even if you like zoom in on it, it seems very slow, but like really like how much has actually changed. And if you're not quite there yet, and if you're more at the beginning of this, you know, because each of us come in on these different waves, yeah, there's something about honoring your own timing and the process, because yeah, this is the energy of like, again, just building, like 8 of Pentacles, working on something, 7 of Pentacles, like planting seeds. And then it's like, you just wake up one day and you're like, whoa, like where did all this come from? You know? But honoring those natural cyclical, it's like how we look at the 4 seasons, for example, right? It's a very common example, but each season has its own cycle and energy within it and purpose. So yeah, something about like honoring that, and we're continuing to honor that. Now I'm seeing someone like throw a penny in a well, or like a coin in a well, like a wishing well. Back to that like dreaming energy. Yeah, I'm seeing someone who's been like pulled away for a while, like focusing more on like 3D life things. But then like now maybe you've like a little bit of time, and you're like, I want to do a little ritual, or like there's something about like coming back to something. Yeah. Now I just saw the Page of Wands, so and I'm seeing the word explorer. And there's also a movie, The Princess and the Frog. I don't know why I'm seeing that as well. And I'm hearing the song, How About Another First Kiss from 50 First Dates. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because I feel like I could keep going and keep going. Yeah, birthdays really feel significant, like seeing birthdays, because I'm seeing, like, I've seen, like, so many people's birthdays that I know in this transmission, and, like, the divine masculine energy or the counterpart union type of, like, flow or feeling. I did not mean to say that. I feel like I literally just got, like, swept up in a daydream. I was like, flow, feeling. That number just came up as I'm about to end this. So, yeah. That feels significant for some reason. I will be continuing on Patreon into some more of like the ascension mechanics, and referencing some of the articles that I was bringing about. So yeah, okay. I like every time I'm going to leave, it's like I keep getting this lingering energy. So you could be feeling that right now. Like, yeah, there's a lingering. Cranberries linger. Yeah, there's something very lingering. Okay, that's all.